children exchanging food in school and this whole witchcraft initiations and all on children.
The truth is that this whole thing around initiating children
It didn't
since
start
it
now.
didn't start now. My mom drummed that message, drummed it for years. She would talk about it. They would even tell us, if you see money on the ground, don't pick it. You can turn to yam. You can.
But did those things really
Yeah.
happen? Because the rumors about those things, and I don't know if it was even on TV or something,
Yeah.
but people really believed that
Yeah.
people turned into
You
yam.
turn to yam, you can turn to a coin, you can even turn to nylon bag, different things that my mom used to say then. That you turn to nylon bag, somebody will now pick you, put things inside. But man, I used to really believe all of those things, because for me as a child, especially money that I see on the ground, if it's my parents' money, then when I still was misbehaving, I can take their money. But if it's money I see on the ground, that is not my father that dropped it or my mother, I don't touch it.
There's some times that I see children gisting, and I wonder, what are they talking about? Please, do you also think about it? Like, what do children talk about? What do they gist about when they are not with phones?
Well, as a child, the major thing that I used to gist with friends was maybe how do we go and buy in Lagos then Babadudu or Kokoro? Maybe how do we get sweets? How do we get lollipop? How much is in your savings box? Because then we used to have like a savings box, all these savings boxes where you can put the coins or the notes, inside of it. Then sometimes we can also gist about how do we escape parental supervision to go and play football. Because I used to sneak out a lot. It didn't matter where my mom kept the keys to the house.
Somehow you
I
find.
will find my way to that football pitch, to play soccer. Sometimes I come back with injuries on my toes, things like that. But those are just the things we talked about as kids. Then sometimes when I grew older, maybe writing common entrance, JAMB, all those things. Yeah, we just talk about, okay, how are we going to sit down? Where are we going to sit during extramural lessons? Where we used to have lessons. Then there was one of my friends, Joe. His name was Joe too. He used to call himself Krypton. Then he used to call himself Krypton, and there was this very beautiful girl that time.
What age?
As in, we were just like writing like SS. No, what is SS? Before entering secondary school. Before entering, maybe like 9, 10, or 9, 10-ish. I can still almost. Her face is hazy in my head now, but this girl then, she used to be so fine. Joe would be like, that he just wants to talk to her. He just wants to tell her something. And me, I was mega extremely shy then. So I was always in his shadow, when it came to things like, engaging with the female or something. So I just feel that's really that's the height of it for me in terms of, those conversations that we used to have.
Children have.
We just gist. Then sometimes maybe we'll see Mr. Biggs and all that. We'll be like, when will we save money? So sometimes we'll now be saving. We'll have a way of opening our savings box. Then we'll remove some money. We'll enter Mr. Biggs after lessons in the evening. We'll just buy one small meat pie, maybe one cone ice cream. Then we just get back on our way back home and all that, yeah.
Because I used to think about it like there's sometimes that Cashmo and El Cash.
Yeah.
So El Cash is like 4, Cashmo is like 6.
Yeah.
And then you just hear them gisting. And then I used to wonder, like, what are they talking about?
Now, just that most times we're always on the fast track, we're busy, we're running, we're trying to manage different things at the same time. It would be nice to even know really like what are people even talking about. Yeah, but for them, I think they play a lot. They play a lot, they play rough play, they throw things around. They may even be talking about maybe let daddy not catch them with objects in the parlor, things like that. So most times, if you find them being sneaky, just know that they are doing more communication between themselves, trying to see how they can cut corners to evade punishment or discipline and things like that, yeah.
Do you think children keep secrets? like amongst themselves? Do I know that twins usually have that a lot,
I
but
actually think that children keep secrets, yeah.
why do you think so?
Because as a child, there were some things that happened that, even my parents would never hear about.
Up to today.
Yes, up till today. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I think
Like
that
secrets. Like, living in Lagos then, like in a block and flat, we lived in 41 Road at the time in Festac Town. So we had like this block and flats. And I can still very vividly picture, even as a child, there used to be one house because we had a balcony. So from that balcony, you can see like other people's balconies. And there was one particular balcony of one lady. And I know now that I'm much older that she used to do runs at the balcony with a guy. They'll cover the whole space with like wrapper. But somehow we would still catch a glimpse of them.
if people will
Then
go and
we'll be hiding to look at them. Yes.
Jesus. That's a very bad thing. You and who?
I think myself, I'm sure, I don't know whether my elder sister was with us. I cannot really tell, but I'm sure that either myself, my younger ones, or my immediate elder ones, or maybe my friends that we live together, in our on our own block and flat. So I don't know. They used to call is it Taiwo? I can't remember her name now, but she was like maybe in secondary school or maybe early university, but she appeared to live a very rusty life, at the time. And we were just very curious, like, why is that auntie always using
Wrapper?
I know that, and there's no how a wrapper will be long enough
to cover
everywhere. So sometimes you might just see we didn't see anything in terms of actual damage, or we didn't notice any of that, but we just knew that it appeared that human beings were crumbling on each other or trying to collide with one another. We could not really explain it.
So why didn't you ask your mother that?
Why will I ask my mother?
Because
while we're even watching those people, we too will cover our own self, our own side somehow, so that even if they are looking, because sometimes we used to shout, we will shout the auntie, we'll say, "Auntie, what are you doing there?" So those things are things now that my parents never knew.
Yeah.
We were managing all that information ourselves without any parental review system, so we'll be naive to think that our children would not also manage certain things without our own parental review.
Yeah, because I know that there's some times that maybe they are just from school and Kashmel is like, mommy, and Kashmel is like, don't tell her now, please now. And he's like saying, please now, don't tell her. And so it's like they too, like they have their own like bond, their own secrets.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what are you not telling me? Tell me. And it's like, Kashmo, and it's just so it's like they like keep all those.
It happens, Yeah, those were some of those things. Then even then, as a child, then we used to like gamble to ride bicycle. There was one of these guys where we lived. They used to call the guy Amy. Amy had like 3 bicycles. So like he would bring those bicycle hours like on 41 Road was like a long road, tarred road. So maybe you pay like 3 naira to ride like 3 times. Those kinds of things. Like our parents had earned money sometimes to take those money without even their consent. We'll go and give it to Amy or somebody, bring his bicycle. Then we used to do like, when you're riding bicycle, like when you get to a place like where there's a curb, you now be with speed. Then you now raise it up. The thing will fly up. As in, being a child was really cool.
Yeah, I remember playing with really kites and all those things.
I mean, I can still make a kite now. If you ask me to make a kite, just give me all this bamboo. There's one kind of thick broom. Give me eba. Give me paper. Then give me thread. I can't remember. As in, then we'll fly kites in Festac like this. You'll be seeing the kite up. We'll now be doing kite wars.
Yes.
Like kites fly.
But our children nowadays
kites.
Don't even do these kite plays and the rest. Then like we know how to do like kites, different aeroplanes and all those things. But now people don't really.
Growing up was fun. Then I remember one of the secrets that I had with one of my sisters. my mom had sent me to go and grind tomatoes, a bucket of tomatoes, like half bucket or something. So on my way, I now dropped the tomatoes somewhere to play football. Oh boy, as I was playing football like this, one guy now fired one shot from a very long distance. The thing now hit the tomatoes on the field like this. Tomatoes was full with sand. Of course, I knew that I cannot carry that tomatoes home.
Yes.
I had to still go and blend it. So what I
With the
just I now
sand?
yes, no, I had to remove the sand. So I went to one tap somewhere and I started washing the tomatoes, washing it. People were now laughing at me. I think one of my sisters now saw what happened. So I now kind of beg her, I say, please don't tell. Because if you tell that kind of a thing,
And your
man,
mother
like
will have
it's
it.
game over. Game over for you that night.
Yeah, like then again, there's some things that I know that parents usually hide like from children. There was a time that my mom was pregnant and she didn't tell anybody that she was
Wow.
pregnant. So it was, I think we were like ill. Sure, that time I think it's just like everybody in the house would be sick at the same time or something like that. So we all went to the hospital, but my dad was not there. So I think they were now like writing like the drugs that we'll take and all that. So it was at that point that she now said that she will not be able to take some drugs because she's pregnant.
Yeah.
So that was even when I realized that the tummy I was seeing was not her normal tummy, that she
Wow.
was pregnant. I don't know. I think I felt like a bit bad that
she was pregnant.
No, that like she did not tell us she was pregnant, and then she now. So I was just thinking like the children feel somehow when maybe they find out things. Like, are they that wise to know when
kids of nowadays,
children don't, when like parents don't tell
they're
them
very
stuff?
wise. It's just like when Cashmore, 6 years old, is looking at our wedding album. He's always going for the
Kissy part.
You understand? Like there are more than 500 pictures, but the one that excites him the most is kissing.
And you will say, "God forbid, God forbid, God forbid."
So it's interesting, like, that whole innocence that children have, like it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful. Yeah, and another thing also, like when I was in primary school, like I used to like genuinely like people. Like there used to be one lady, one girl, I think Fumilayo Oyeni. Yeah, that's her name. Oh my God. This brain is better than AI. And Fumilayo used to come to school very neatly dressed, like have her food pack, the Ribena, the sandwich, the bread, then the meal, like everything totally. So once she opens her food, like you'll be like, oh God. Oh boy, seafood.
Oh my.
Things like that. And she was very intelligent.
Okay.
So I'll be like, Fumilayo. So somehow, when I left primary school, I kind of like genuinely was missing some of those people that I was in school with. I'll be like, oh, like it felt like an emotional side of me was
attached.
Maybe even though I did not communicate that likeness, but it was there. Even when I was a teenager, there were certain people that I met and I was like, I really like these people. But to really
work on
really push that information out there, I didn't understand what it meant or how to push it. I liked a particular person, like I liked that person so much that I cried the day I learned that the person was leaving the country. Like, yes, I was like, oh my God, you mean I'm never going to see this person again? Oh my God, like I was really crying, things like that. So it makes me understand the fact that the kids that would also have to go through their own moments.
Emotions.
They will go through their own emotions. They will have to feel things for themselves. And we cannot gatekeep so much like our parents tried to gatekeep in the past, because right now, almost everything is out there in front of kids, Kids are having to juggle a whole lot of information. That's why I tell my son most times, you are banned from phones, you are banned from stuff, except maybe you want to do educational stuff, you can use those items. And the guy is already talking ChatGPT, like, what was he thinking about? You cannot even allow, I don't even think it's healthy, especially now that a child is trying to develop his own mental capacities. You now push ChatGPT to a 6-year-old.
But I don't see it as bad. I even see it as better than the regular Google and the rest. Because as long as you open ChatGPT and you
Yeah.
don't type anything inside, it doesn't feed you information.
Yeah.
But for Google and YouTube and the rest, they would use your previous history to suggest things to you.
Yeah.
But ChatGPT does not suggest anything to you. So it's what you know that you type to
Are you-
know more about. And if your child's mind is pure and your child is with ChatGPT, what else would they ask for? Like maybe what is the circumference of a this? What is the English? As in, to me, I think it's a
I
good
really don't know,
place.
but I just feel that early introduction of some of all these tech tools, AI tools to kids, I don't know. But I just feel that as much as we can preserve the innocence
The
of children,
innocence,
not
okay.
necessarily blocking them out of relevant information. Because when you see countries like China, for example, China has been operating like an AI educational policy for their children for many years, even before Donald Trump recently signed like an executive order for AI to be taught in all schools and
Okay.
all of that, So you now see that counterparts in other parts of the world,
Are
like
beginning to
they're
adopt it.
embracing and they're adopting some of these tools and mechanisms, for them to live like a much better life and to appreciate life much faster, than in other climes. If I go to my village now and I say AI, I might not be able to get that kind of feedback or
Reception.
response that maybe a child who is in Europe, for example, or in the US or China might be able to understand. So it has its good side. There are also the bad sides of it, but I just still feel like let children just have some very unique tales of their own humanness that is not necessarily
Influenced by artificial intelligence.
AI or technology platforms and all that.
Okay, I actually get your point. Like, just to touch on another story, I remember that we had there was this food that they brought back from school. There's this people that sell like spaghetti, Indomie, and the rest. So they went to their school and they shared like gift
Indomie packs,
items, Indomie, sweet, and all those things. So they came back home and they were trying to knock on the door because I was working. That please, I should pray for the food so they can eat. And I said, just wait, give me 10 minutes. So I finally brought them in and then they started eating it. I think it was that day or maybe when Auntie Egon took them out and gave them money to buy things. So she gave Cashmel more money. Then that's like 3.5 or 3K.
Yeah.
Sorry, 3K. Then she gave Cashmore 2.5 and she gave Cash 2,000. So they bought different things, but Cashmel's own had more things. Cashmore's own had more things than Cash's own. So when he had eaten his own to an extent, he was trying to beg his brother for stuff to like share. So I now told him, why not offer him something from your own and all that? And then he would also offer you something from his own, and that's kind of exchange. Then Cashmore now said, why are you begging like? Then he called somebody's name in his class that the person always begs. Wow. So it's like they look at each other's food and they beg each other for their food.
That thing used to happen a whole lot,
When you think about it, I remember that we went for prayer on Monday and some of the people that led prayers were talking about children and how they beg each other for food and how they were conducting deliverance. And that's most of the children that were experiencing that whole deliverance stuff.
Yeah.
And they probed further. It was from food. So what do you have to say about children exchanging food in school and this whole witchcraft initiations and all on children?
The truth is that this whole thing around initiating children,
it didn't start now.
It didn't start now. My mom drummed that message, drummed it for years. She would talk about it. They would even tell us, if you see money on the ground, don't pick it. You can turn to yam, you can.
But those things really happen because the rumors about those things, and I don't know if it was even on TV or something, but people really believed that people turned into yam.
You turn to yam, you can turn to a coin, you can even turn to nylon bag, different things that my mom used to say then. That you turn to nylon bag, somebody will now pick you, put things inside. But man, I used to really believe all of those things, because for me as a child, especially money that I see on the ground, if it's my parents' money, then when I still was misbehaving, I can take their money. But if it's money I see on the ground, that is not my father that dropped it or my mother, I don't touch it.
Let me tell you, just to interrupt you a bit. My mom, she said that when they were small, they heard all these tales, but they used to go to the graveyard because people, when they go to the graveyard, they would
They drop
dropped
things.
coins and drop money and all those things. So what the children used to do then is that they would go to the graveyard and they believe that if they piss on it, the
Nothing
curse is
will-
gone. You see children that they piss on as many coins that they can piss on. Then they carry it, they wash it and
Wow.
spend and buy ice cream
You-
and biscuits and all those
you
things.
can imagine how good God's love really is, because
Yeah.
you'll be shocked that some of those things might necessarily not even be ordinary, but because of how special children are to God most times, like He goes the extra mile to give them cover, to give them protection. How would you explain one of my siblings falling from a 2-story building? Like
Jesus.
she flipped from a balcony of a 2-story building,
And nothing.
and absolutely nothing happened to her.
Hey, that one is, I'll give my angels charge over you.
Absolutely nothing happened to her. Absolutely nothing. She got to the hospital. They're like, no
You are
internal
fine.
bleeding. Nothing is
And
happening.
hey, how did your mother?
That day, what even happened was, the much I can remember, I was playing football.
God
in
again.
I was playing football in the field, like it's like a recreational area in Festac then. I was playing football in the field. Somebody now said that your sister fell down from up. I said, my sister fell down from up. Immediately, I started running. As I was running, I was now seeing children at the balcony that were shouting. So when I ran, I even got there and I saw her. I saw her. So
Was she lying down or standing? No? You can't remember.
she was lying down. She was crying. So somehow, somebody, I think I remained with her. Somebody now went to call my mom. I wonder my mom was not around, but somehow my mom found a way to get to her, and we now took her to a hospital somewhere in maybe 321 road or 22 road or something like that. Took her to a hospital. They did all the checks and everything, and you can imagine life after that fall. We're almost sandwiched back, as in going out was now like a crime.
There was this gist that you gave me about your dad that that the gas or something, maybe you wanted to take something in the oven, then he banned it in the house.
As a child, like my mom used to do a lot of she used to do all these confectionery products, buns, meat pie, all of those things. So on one of such occasions, like our kitchen door was open. So it's like somebody now saw me from the other block that I was trying to open the oven as a child. So I was struggling, trying to open it to assess
what was hot
inside
the oven.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that person left from their block, ran down, started coming on our own block, running up. It was that person that now picked me. I now went to knock on the parlor door and handed me over to my mom, and now narrated what they saw that made them run. So you can imagine, as the
only son,
as the fourth child
at that time. As the first son,
as the fourth child at the time. Like I had 3 elder sisters, but it's still right to say first son at the time. Even right now, you can, and of course the
situation,
the conversations around the validity or the importance of having a first son at that time, especially in local parlance. Then you now hear that the guy now enter oven and lock himself, and now no, my father had to ban that oven. Like there was no oven. I cannot remember having
oven experience.
an oven, except maybe when we were much older. Except that I think when we were much older, my mom still used to do some of those oven stuff, but we didn't have any baby all around.
So back to the children sharing
initiation,
food.
Yeah. So the truth is, every parent has that duty. As a parent, you have the duty to make sure that you raise your children properly, and you also give them covering. You cover them with the word. You cover them with prayer. You cover them with prophecy. You cover them with positive words. You cover them with prophetic unction. Like you just do everything possible to make sure that you are giving your children as much spiritual cover as possible. That's very key. Then beyond spiritual cover, the disciplines for engaging with third-party food and some other items
Our
out
parents,
there
they
and
used to
all
throw
that.
it away now.
You
They don't
understand?
even allow it stay.
No, my mom was like a don.
A thrower.
Don Clerocuzio.
In throwing.
You dare not bring food to my mother. When they bring to her, she will even smile. Oh, God bless you. Thank you very much. Who will not be saying, Mommy, share it now. Mommy, share it now. My mom will not even answer you. The next thing, maybe you just
and
hear
Salah
toilet.
food.
You
Oh
just
my
hear
God.
toilet to be flushing. My mother will flush every bit of those things. So sometimes when we even have some of those stuff outside,
you better start eating it.
We'll eat some. We'll not present everything, but I don't think all of my siblings were that way, because majority of my siblings were like
straight jackets,
like straight to compliance. Majority straight to compliance, So just myself, maybe one or two others but I was a major culprit in a lot of things that used to happen, So like what we're trying to say, as a parent, as a father, as a mother, it's your job to educate your children about some of this, spiritual underground forces that can infiltrate the lives of children. Imagine a child eating food from somebody that is possessed. Then the next thing, your child now shows up in a coven that they don't know anything about because of that negligence of the child and also the parents.
Like the deliverance, they were saying that there were about 4 of the children, and that there was particular one that kept vomiting things that the person had eaten. The other 3 just vomited a little. And when they found out, they said that those other 3 were just initiated recently.
Yeah.
So the thing that they've eaten was not as much as the other person. But when you think about it, when you talk about educating children about some of these things, how do you educate children when you know that children are different and they take this education differently? Because, for example, now, when you talk about this type of things in our house, 2 of our children receive it okay. They ask questions, they receive it fine. But there's a particular child that we have, and I have noticed it
out of fear
or for a while. Whenever I bring up things about initiation, about metaphysical stuff, kidnapping, things that can harm a child, this child is, as in like the child like visualizes everything. You've already said it's a him. So he like visualizes everything. And by the time you are done with everything you are saying, if you call his name, he can shake like this and he would hold you. In the night, he would be scared to sleep. Like, so I have just been thinking, like, okay, what is the way to really educate these children in their own unique way, knowing that some of them handle this, what we call like simple education.
Yeah.
There's some people that while you're doing the education, they are, as in it's like they're watching a movie.
Sincerely, and the truth of the matter is that don't hide anything from your child. I'm not saying traumatize them, but try to break down that information as much as you can, especially in this era of, people kidnapping kids. Like there was a story somebody told where a neighbor moved into a certain location for some days, now came to invite another neighbor that used to live in that place that their son is having a birthday, they would want their child to attend. The woman didn't know them from Adam, but she knew that they had just moved in for like 3-4 days or thereabout into the place, and they were playing music. She took her child to that place. She did not necessarily see inside, but she heard music, she heard different things. Her child now entered that place. Apparently, those guys are like organ harvesters. She was still hearing it. After like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, she said, let her even go and look for her child. When she got there, as she tried to, the door was already slightly open. The next thing she saw, the debris of her son.
Can that woman forgive herself?
You understand? So you can never over-educate your children. And even you as a parent, you need situational awareness. When you hear things like this about children being initiated in schools, it's still your job. You call your child or your daughter and you ask them, you let them know what the repercussions can be. You can even look for some of all those Mount Zion old movies that used to show some of these things and how it works. Use that one to educate your children. When they see chicken on top of somebody's food next time, they will look away. When they see ice cream, they will look away. They will be content with what you have given them to take to school. So it's still our duty. Don't think that you are trying to protect your child, protecting them away from the information that would save them. There was another video I saw of a child. The father was making a call in a train station, I think somewhere in Mumbai or somewhere in India.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, people were distracting him from the call. Along that whole distraction part,
They picked up
he let go of his child's hand. That was how, and the man that was behind monitoring the child, one was in front distracting him, one was monitoring the child. As soon as he let go of that child, microsecond, they've grabbed that child, entered into a busy, massive metro station. The guy, he was, even the one that was in front of him, he has also disappeared. So will you now say that, let's say you have told that child, if somebody wants to shout, scream, shout, bite like the child would have been able to have like some kind of response. But when you leave children without the information that can help them to be able to overcome the wiles of the enemy, these dark forces that are all around us and all of that, when you don't equip them with that information, thinking that you are trying to be nice to your child, you are trying to protect them, you are trying to not expose them. I'm not saying but just give them the basic information that they need to be able to protect themselves when you are not readily available. Even when you are there, you have to constantly ensure. But of course, a lot of children will always still be children. But let it be that you as a parent, you've done your own bit.
I remember while I was in school that time, there was a time, I think it was in primary 3 or primary 4, when girls started growing breasts. I know that there was a time when in the class, people would say, oh, see, let me see. This one say, oh, let me see. Hey, let me see. You started growing. Everybody will say, oh, let me see. Why I'm just bringing this up is because day before yesterday, I think I was reading the Bible while like we're doing like the Bible study with the children, and I said something about behaving properly and not going with the crowd when they are doing evil. And then, Cashmon, he kept saying, Mommy, answer, me. And then I was like, okay, yes. And then he said, I remember in Cashmel's class when she was this, there was a time that 3 of the girls went to toilet and they were now kissing. Like
for real?
Yes. So that was but I know that they have mentioned it before. So I now asked her, I was not like, what happened? So she was like, I was not like, were you there? She was like, no, but that she knew when they left the class. Maybe they were just gisting about what is kissing, what is kissing and everything. And then they now decided to go to the toilet and see what this kissing is about. Because, for example, even like for our wedding pictures, I never showed it to our children because I was like, how would I explain kissing?
But if you ask me, did I kiss as a child?
Did you kiss as a child?
I kissed as a child.
Are you serious?
Yes, I did. I didn't know what kissing was. Do you understand? Like, that's why I can understand where those girls are coming from. They have the slightest idea of what kissing is about. But it's just possible that something around kissing has been registered in their minds. And they're like, oh, okay, this kissing.
Wait, how
I just kissed. It didn't have to happen. When you are playing hide and seek, you are playing. The next thing you just kiss somebody, just an innocent kiss. You're not, because there are no hormonal, nothing is charging you up or anything.
So as a parent, when you hear that your child kissed, what should people do about that? The truth is that
don't traumatize the child because of that.
Okay.
Although that might be theoretical, the practical aspect of that answer is that sometimes some things may have to follow, but let those things follow in love.
Okay.
Even if you have to discipline the child in love. But more importantly, let them know that this is not acceptable behavior. It's not acceptable behavior. When you are playing with friends, so we'll go to somebody's house, we'll do hide and seek, we'll stay under bed. Maybe 2 people are hiding under the bed. Let somebody not catch them. Before you know, you kiss.
Hey, God.
Yes. So these things, they happen. They actually...
I beg you, God, please help our children.
But see how it turned out. Even with some of all the crazy, God, I believe strongly that God was so interested in my life because when I look at a lot of the things I did as a child, like, I'm like, how am I the one standing or sitting right here talking about these things? It only means one thing to me, that everything that you are going through, even everything that your child will go through, even those children that are possessed right now, and by the grace of God, they will find their deliverance. That story is going to be relevant for somebody else to not make a wrong decision. But if you can prevent your children from assessing certain things, early enough, I think it's better.
For example, how do parents protect their child without seeming overprotective? For example, growing up then, we used to live in all these block and flats to like very huge compound, and we had different blocks there. So we had neighbors, and one of my sisters, she was very, very fine, as in like very fair, very fine, and people liked carrying her. So I remember then, and even when my brother was born, whenever people carry like my sister or my brother, I would just see my mother, like she would be praying. She does not friend though, she would just be praying. She was just like that. Then I remember that even when people are playing, there was one I remembered that these people were like playing with my young sister. That's that one that is fair and fine. They were playing with her. They were not like, hey, fine girl, you will fly, oh, you will fly. My mother
fly to where?
My mother did not even, I think whether she carried her or something. She was like, and as a parent, if you have shame sometimes, when you see things like that, in your mind, you'll be saying, I reject the name of Jesus, I reject it.
Go and carry your child.
But
now.
my mother can be so graphic, like she will say, my child will not fly, yeah? My child will not fly. And she will carry, you understand? Yeah. But why I'm asking this thing is, there's sometimes as parents, even jokingly, you see people say some negative things about your child. But because you don't want to not be diplomatic or you now act somehow, you just stylishly see how you can take your child away, or you stylishly try to be diplomatic about your... But I feel like our parents before, like they are not, like when it comes to like their child's security, they were not diplomatic. Once they hear anything that is negative, they're like, I reject it in Jesus' name. Like they will not even wait to be saying it in their mind, because some of these things are very powerful. I remember in the university, there was a course I was doing. So I went to like sign my course forms for the year. So I went to this lecturer, and he looked like, he now said, you don't have any carryover. You did not even carry over this course. In my mind, I was saying, we don't carry over. But true, next semester I carried over. Just by that thing registering in my mind, and my coordinator was like, so you mean you don't have any carryover? Something like that. And there are some things that people say to us, and we are shy to refute it immediately and to say, no, this is not it, and nice, everything.
Diplomatic.
Yes, diplomatic, and not to counter it immediately. So for like parents and children, how protective can you be, and when is it too much?
It can never be too much. Absolutely, it can never be too much. It's just like when you have like a daughter now, like I have a daughter, and I know when she was at a certain age, maybe somebody is carrying her, maybe a man is carrying her in church, you now carry her like this. Why would you carry my daughter like that? I know we had one of those conversations. I actually met that because that person used to like, and I said, please, next time. Yes.
I can't even remember.
If you want to carry, you can carry her like this. Don't put my baby daughter to be on your groin. Like, what the hell is that? You understand?
So you remind me, so I can't remember.
So those kinds of things, like you don't give it another opportunity. If you don't like something, talk about it, speak out. These people in question, they don't pay your bills. They don't add any particular value to your life. You'll be shocked that many of the people that even abuse children, they've never had any form of investment into the life of that child or even that family. But it caused collateral damage. So what is the point of you trying to be very discreet, very nice, very diplomatic, very this, very that? Or let them say whatever they want to say. It's your child we are talking about. When the chips are down, you would not find any of those guys around. You won't see them close. So protect what is yours. Guard it diligently.
I remember when there was a video I listened to about spiritual sensitivity, and what do you think about a parent being sensitive, in the sense that there were two? I think one was like that the person went to do something and their mother explained exactly what they did as if their parents were there. And this is like, what do you think about like a parent being spiritually sensitive to know what is going on with the children, even when the children don't necessarily open up to the this thing? Because I remember there was a story about. Don't worry, you can speak.
Yeah, I would just say that you cannot be sensitive about something you are not concerned about. That's what I feel. If you are a careless parent,
things will
there is no sense. You cannot be sensitive. Your parents that you don't care. You just think everything's about providing food, dropping them at school, and that's where it stops. You cannot like sensitivity draws from that connectivity. So for God to also be able to say, this is what I want you to know about your child. Your child might be facing A, B, C, D, E, and all of those things. It only means that somehow you are a bit connected to that child. Like you care beyond the normal about what that child faces in life generally. Before your spirit can can pick that extra information. So don't think that you will just even prayer. Sometimes that's what I feel. I might be wrong. I don't even think that because of the fact that maybe you pray for your child is enough. Do you talk to your child?
Okay.
Do you have conversations with your child? What are the things? Is it just buy me meat pie, buy me popcorn, take me out? Are those the only conversations that you have with your child? Do you want to know how their mind is? What are they thinking of? Why do they do some of the things that they do? Do you go further to ask those questions? So that's also very important. I would also say that it's not like I'm not a child therapist, but as a parent, what therapy experience are you looking for beyond your ability to parent your child properly? So you have to seek out the right information that would help you to be able to understand your child, know where they struggle, know where their strengths are, amplify their strengths, don't neglect their struggles, but see how you can help them to be able to manage so that they can be useful to themselves in life, basically. Yeah.
What do you have to say about competition between children?
Competition between children. Just let children know that they are siblings and that the first competition is competition of love. You compete to love one another. If you can have that love competition, they will grow up, even when they all excel in different ways, they would grow up loving, they will grow up caring, and they will grow up being there for one another, not necessarily looking for ways to maybe quarrel, to fight, to live in animosity and all of that. No. But when children compete on the basis of love, it is the greatest foundation that you can give them, upon which you can now begin to build upon other value systems that you want those children to imbibe.
Is it possible for a child to feel guilty?
Guilty
because or like feel guilty or feel so sad? I don't know. Like is it possible for a child to go into maybe a space of maybe they've done something and then they like the child now start nursing guilt? Is it possible?
Guilt is a human feeling. That's what I think. So a child can feel guilt, but you need to also be close to your child so that you can help them snap out of it.
Yeah, because now we're hearing of suicide even among young people.
Yeah. Like the whole JAMB suicide. I'm sorry to say, but let's call a spade a spade. The child that committed suicide because I think he or she failed JAMB and all of that. So imagine if that child had like a connection to really share with the parent, and all this thing around people's expectation of your parents, your teachers, your siblings, people in your church, people in your environment, all of those expectations. Like sometimes we need to allow these young people to also breathe. But at the same time, I'm not saying that we should run away from having to pull them up and make them strong and tough for the society that they're about to face. But it's very important that children should be able to share things with their parents, especially when it matters the most.
What about children that feel embarrassed? For example, like children that bedwet. So, for example, if you're like living in a place where there is like a big, there are like different people that live there, and then they're like, okay, today you please carry that mattress out, and then everybody they're like, and you are shy and everything.
I went to a boarding school now.
Yeah,
I went to a boarding school. I don't know if I should share this story.
How should we how should we help children that have things that they are not so proud of, that they are a bit embarrassed about?
Like the whole bedressing thing. I know way back then what my dad, even my mom used to do. Maybe when they are doing their rounds, they'll just wake us up randomly. Me, I was a culprit of that a whole lot. I did peace well. They will say, you wake up, you wake up, you wake up, you wake up, things like that. I try to do that for my kids. So, and I even put them on like a competition. I'm like, first person to reach 7 days without bedwetting. So we have like a chart system, and I'm like, if you even if you reach day 5 and you go back to 0 and start. You understand? So as I'm giving them that task, I'm also part of the solution. As soon as I wake up, maybe 1 a.m., I'll go and check. Maybe one person has already done it. That person has already is still on 0. The other person has not yet. I'll say, thank God. Oh yeah, go and we. You understand? Things like that. So it just helps. It's not something to shame a child for. People grow out of it. You understand? I remember those days, even in secondary school, like people that used to sleep in top bunk. I was a boarding school guy in my junior secondary, even senior secondary. Like the top bunk guy is urinating and your urine is going, passing the mattress and going straight down to the other person. So sometimes when you catch yourself in that whole mix-up, you just be like, if you wear your wee is not so heavy to now start dripping, you just use maybe you use a towel, put it under your mattress so that the towel can absorb the wee stuff. Because how do you want to explain it that in the morning after your morning duty, you're now carrying mattress outside to go and dry? People will now see you, all those kind of things. So those things too will teach you the coping mechanisms, how to be able to snap out of that behavior faster than you might ever think possible. In that whole secondary school scenario, nobody will teach you. On your own, you begin to get that survival mechanisms, like the toughness and the tactics of getting out of certain things, So
but would you encourage children to go to boarding school like in our time now?
For kidnapping purposes, no. For some other, I don't know, because boarding school helped me. It helped my independence. But all the love I ever needed in my life, I had already received so much of it from my parents that even boarding school, even after I finished university, like I'm still very full on love for my family, for my siblings, for my parents, and all of that. Yeah, but for some people, especially those that might not now get involved with vices, people are now smoking rubber solution like they used to do in my secondary school then. People are going to girls' hostel, they are going to night parties, they will jump fence, they will go here. Then you now hear that, one girl got pregnant. This other girl got pregnant. Like there are a lot of things that can mess with somebody's mindset, but you cannot now say that you will police your child for life. You only need to equip them with everything that they need to know. The Bible talked about, train up a child in the way that they should grow. Don't wait for your child to grow, then you now start thinking that you can enforce training. You have to train up. That means you are starting from the cradle. You are training up. So that's very key. That's very important. Once you train up that child in the way that they should go, and you've already showed them the pathway that has worked for you, that has worked for your ancestors, all the generations, the Bible, the premise of the Bible, being their own guiding force, and you can push that into a child's subconscious. At a point, it's not you anymore. It's that child and God. They are digging it out, but you still continue to play your own oversight function as a parent.
Yeah,
that never really ends.
Yeah, like for me, I went to a boarding school, like from my JS1 to SS1, and I can't say that I liked it. Even though like my mom was a teacher, it was a terrible experience for me. And I think I would prefer to have my children close where I can see them and all.
No,
although boarding schools are good because they teach you like some things, but like you said, there are some vices. Although if you have your children with you and they're going to a day school, you might be able to notice them. Or even if they're in boarding school and you're spiritually sensitive, you might also be able to know, like you mentioned that while you were in school, you used to know when your dad is coming to visit you.
Yeah.
Somehow you could just sense it. So it's possible that just like twins, sometimes like it's possible to sense what is going on with your child, even if your child is in the boarding school. But I think having a child in a day school sometimes too is good because you can easily see what's going on. You can monitor the child if you need to do extra lessons and all those things. You can easily do it. But of course, there are indeed vices in some of these schools. And then there is also like the bullying in the schools and all those
bullying,
things.
shaming.
Yeah.
Like, I remember like unlike right now, like pornography is almost like everywhere. But back in the days, it wasn't pronounced. Before you would see a pornographic picture, you have to maybe see it through a magazine.
Yes.
And I know then that even in my secondary school, like guys, in hostel, like they will say, CEO, come and see you, all those kind of stuff. But even in day schools, those things may still
exist.
be prevalent. So the goal is just Give your child the defense mechanism against all the tactics of the enemy. Help them and let them know that this mind, like the issues of life, out of the abundance of the heart. The Bible talks about everything, the rumination of the mind is where most life's decisions and failures are cooked. So when you know how powerful your mind is, you have to equip your child to be able to start understanding how to start building personal development, mind power development. A lot of those things, they are very key. The things that you watch at home, is usually Nigerian movies that you watch Nollywood, from there you're on Netflix, you're on Amazon, you're on all the movie platforms, but your child has never heard any motivational talk or anything that can influence their mindsets. They've never watched a movie maybe on Henry Ford, or even on Elon Musk, or even on Aliko Dangote. There are a lot of documentaries out there. If you push those kinds of content, to young people, you help them to begin to build the framework of their mind system. They're able to guard against a lot of things because they are thinking, if I want to be like Dangote, for example, is this what I should be doing? Like there's a pathway to that success that every child is thinking about. And it's our job as parents to be able to expose our children early enough to the things that can give them that whole support system. And you are sure that your children, before they would disappoint you, they would be able to tell you that they're already on that slippery slope. Not that when it has happened, you now be like, oh, what the hell just went wrong?
Yeah.
But let's just keep praying for our children in any case.
Just to speak more about why we really need to pray for our children. Like, I remember that my mom, she used to say this prayer that if people are doing bad things, right?
Yeah.
When you join them, they will catch you.
They'll catch you. Yeah.
So she always said all those kind of things. And I know that she also prayed for us because there was something we said in a previous video about God in his mercy intercepting things that might totally change the course of your life.
Somebody's life.
For example, I remember that growing up, the only thing I knew about sexual stuff or people getting pregnant and all that were, okay, a man and a woman and everything. But I was sent to a single school and I did not know that there were some other kind of things that used to happen. And I remember that there was a particular day when it was a before ninth prep or something, I don't know. And I was just coming and I remember that there was a classmate of mine in JS1 also that was on a staircase and she was almost crying or something. I was like, what happened? What happened to you and all that? And she was like, up to today, I can't even remember what she said. It was like, maybe, I don't know, she was just crying. I said, okay, so what is it that will calm you down or something? She was now like, I should touch her breast or something like that. I don't even know why I said, okay. And then she now carried me to like a talk shop area.
She took you away from the presence.
From that staircase place where people were passing. You understand? She now took me to like a staircase area. She was like, okay, touch me here. Okay, me too, let me touch you here. This is just one.
Wow.
How I know that God intercepts
that one is like a JS1 demon. A demon in JS1. It's not the JS1 student I'm looking at now. Is that demon that wore uniform to enter that school that I'm talking about?
How I now know that God used to save people is that there's this girl that's like a clown. She was fair, short girl. She just used to make jokes and laugh. All of a sudden, from nowhere, she just started, I don't know where she was laughing from. She was just coming. That's how, somehow, the way everybody now remove her and say, no, let's try and remove. Then she just came, then we just gisted and walked away.
Wow.
Inside me, I kept feeling, I said, something was wrong.
Yeah.
But I couldn't place my finger on
what it
was. But I knew that there was something wrong for somebody to be coming.
Then everybody now
readjust. And my dad was a pastor. My mom was very...
Your mom was an evangelist.
Very active.
Sorry, apostle.
Very active in church. Then as I now started staying in the school longer, I now realized that was something that was in school and that people were... So I had this guilt. I had this guilt for a long time. I couldn't tell anybody, even if it's time to pray. In my mind, I'll be like, I've committed a sin. I kept asking for forgiveness, but I still continued feeling that guilt. So I remember that one time they were having like a counseling session in church.
Yeah.
They now said that was like in my just one. That was like just one or just two
Okay.
or just three. I'm not sure. They were having like, wait though. My dad died when? He died in 2004. 2004. I just entered SS1. So this one was like just two, just three. I kept this thing for
Over a
years,
year.
but it was eating me up. But I couldn't tell anybody. So I remember that day they were having like a counseling session. So they asked everybody to come to church. So the pastors sat like in a circle. Then as the members came, they'll tell you to go to any of the pastor that is free. Though it was not a Catholic church, they'll say just empty yourself and everything like that. So me, I was hoping that I would get to my dad. So I would tell him. But somehow I went to somebody else. I sat with somebody else, another pastor. So when I sat with that pastor, I just explained everything and all that. And after I explained everything, I don't even know what they told me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know that afterwards, there was a day that I was chatting with somebody that was in that church with me. And then she made reference to what I told that pastor. A child
that pastor
made reference to
one.
what I told that pastor. So I was like, no. So immediately that happened to me. I now went to my mom. I now opened up to my mom. I now told my mom that this was what happened to me when I was in JS1.
Yeah.
And then when I explained it to her, she prayed for me and everything like that. You know that until my father died, up till today, I don't know if she told my dad or not.
Yeah.
Because he never talked to me about it.
He didn't have to talk about it because he didn't want to reinforce that thought process in you. And of course, your mom had already dealt with it.
Yeah.
You understand?
But
my own question now is, why will a child come to you with that kind of sensitive information?
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe you go home and on your dining table, you are now saying, this will happen to this other pastor's child. You know,
because the child that even told me is not even his child. Though. It was another pastor's child, not even his own.
Anyways, what I would say, I love pastors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I love, like my pastor now, I love him. I love him so much. And I know that he has the maturity to be able to handle a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not necessarily preaching maybe from, as I was talking to one person yesterday, look, he has that maturity. But there are still a lot of men of God out there that lack the morality, they lack the integrity, they lack the insight.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have anything like foresight or hindsight and all of those sides working to their advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You share something with somebody in a person or in authority. In some countries, you know, that kind of a thing can be breach of confidentiality.
Mm-hmm.
You can sue for it.
Yeah.
Not to even talk of, we are talking of a child. So it's very shameful, it's very despicable, and no man of God should put himself in that position where somebody tells you something very confidential about them. There are top secrets that even their parents don't know about or their spouses. Then you now feel like the world is your podium. Anywhere you go to, you are sharing people's stories. It's totally uncalled for. It should not be encouraged in any way.
So I just wanted to just drop that for parents, but to like be able to to be able to explain things to their children, especially like I feel like if maybe my parents were sending me to like a single school and they even mentioned it to me, you understand that there is this kind of thing that happens in single schools and everything. Maybe I would have been like a bit conscious about it.
Yeah.
But at this point, like there was this feeling that was like, maybe it's wrong. But I was like, no, it's man and woman. You understand? And everything like that. So like I think parents as much as possible. That's why I tell my children, I'm like, if anybody wants to touch you, whether it's man or woman or auntie, uncle, like it is not allowed. Shout and scream so that people know that okay, this is it. But what I think
beyond shouting, if
you
can bite.
What I'm even most as in grateful to God is the gift of the interception.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where that girl that came out that day.
Where did she get that
I
from?
don't know where she came. Not even that one. I mean, like the girl that came out from bush. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where you know that in secondary school, we used to even poo inside the bush.
That's
you
Nigerian,
know, short puts.
Nigerian secondary school.
So maybe, so I don't know if maybe that's even what she was doing in the bush and she came out laughing. I don't know what it was, but it was just divine timing.
Stepped out at the
right time. You understand, to just save like a soul and everything. But lastly, I think that my question would be on confessions.
Okay.
So I remember that I've forgotten what happened, that I started writing confessions for the children.
Yeah.
And then I wrote the one for Cashmore, and it's so much now that they haven't tired of reading it because it's so much. So I wrote for Cashmore, and El Cash. So I wrote for all of them. And if you remember that there was a day in the car, one of the confessions is that they are the first and the best.
Yeah.
They are the first and the best. So they were about to go and write the exam. And then we're inside the car. Cashmore now said, Mommy and Daddy, please, can you people pray for us so that we'll come first position? And then my son was like, what are we praying for? We're already the first and the best. We're already the first and the best. So there's really nothing to start praying for and everything. But my own question is, what is the power of confessions in the life of children?
Confessions act as a stopgap. That's how I say it. Like,
I'm hearing like guiding angels.
If something contrary to that confession is coming, if that confession is already ingrained in the mind of that child, it's like a defense system against the things that contend for those words. So maybe you have a confession that I will live and not die. Then maybe a thought about death is coming. You say, no, I rebuke you. I will live and not die. And you'll be shocked that some of these confessions that our kids are growing up with may be part of the toolbox that they need to be able to defend themselves against certain things in the future. Because somehow, like, the mind will just have a way of picking up that signal to be able to, like, contend with a particular scenario or something that is happening. And beautifully so, if a child now truly believes those confessions, like the person is fanatical about them and trusts God through those confessions, that would just tell you that they would have it much easier when they are faced with certain trials in life than somebody that doesn't necessarily have any deposit of some of those kinds of words on the inside of them.
How would you deal with a child? How will you deal with a child that is maybe deficient in a way, or is going through like academic challenges or just something? How will you deal with?
I think patience is important. You have to be patient with that child, but even with patience, like, it's a mind, everything is in the mind. Okay. I remember when I was I wasn't a dull child, but I was very playful. I was very distracted as a child. And my father just needed to tell me a few words. You know, my mom took me for a lot of deliverance. Nothing really happened in those deliverance like that. Pastors would push me ahead. They almost pushed me inside a wall. You understand? But nothing really happened.
I'll never forget a statement that my mother made to one of us that didn't really pass our exams and wanted to still ball that holiday. My mother said, if you don't have shame, I have.
So those kind of.
She said, I cannot take you out. Say, but please let me go. He said, when you follow me, they will ask you what is your result. What will you say? The child was looking. I said, if you don't have shame, I have.
Those words are like powerful statements that
my God. Parents.
just helps to, and you'll be shocked the impact of those words to that particular child. You know, you'll be very shocked. Like in my own case, that was my own turning point when my dad was like, if you have several sisters, I don't discriminate among my children. If you don't focus to get your academics right, let me know. If it's vulcanizer that you want to do, or if you want to do plumbing, anything you want to do, let me know. Let me just buy the tools for you now so that you can start work now while others are going to school. There was no Jesus in the statement that he made. That statement alone
was enough to turn you around.
That was when I noticed that my life had like a U-turn.
But the Bible says that Paul planted, Apollos watered, and that God gave the increase. Yes. So your mom had been praying and taking you for deliverance. That one that your father did was just the final thing that made it crack.
Yeah.
Because
I
somebody
agree
had
with
been
you.
hitting on that
I
thing
agree
for
with you.
long.
I agree with you.
And that's
I
what
agree
now
with you.
happened.
But there's something also as I round up that 3 Jakes once said. He said that most times when people don't understand how to deal with a certain situation, they go spiritual.
Okay.
They go spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it might just be a statement. It might just be like a gesture. It could just be something simple that you can use to tweak that thing in that child that tends towards misbehavior. Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Can we just like pray for our
Can
children?
you pray? You pray. You pray. I want you to pray.
I've been having a question in
Yeah.
my mind, but the question is coming and the question is going. But I pray that God will still find a way to like meet the children that need some of these things. Yes, I remember the question.
Okay.
So the question was, how do we deal with the emotions that children bring out like in their youthful stage that you think might even go into their future? For example, when you see a child exhibiting anger, what's the best way and how do you do some of those things? When is a punishment too much? When is a punishment too far? Because I remember, you see this going out when I was younger.
Yeah.
When something happens in the house, sometimes that I go out.
Yeah.
I just wander away.
That was why you went out during that early marriage period.
I would just wander away.
You didn't just start.
I didn't start eating.
You had a history of going
history
out,
of it.
yeah.
And what I think happened is usually like I feel people clear their head by taking a walk.
Yeah.
I've had that as a child. I don't know where I got that mindset from. But I just used to feel that when you have things on your mind, take a walk.
Yeah.
So I remember that when something happened, there like once or twice, when something happened in the house, I took a walk. When I came back to the house, my mother jumped on me. That's why when I say if I pounce on you to my children, but I've never done it.
Yeah.
I say it from the experience from my mother. My mother pounced on me like a lion. I was on the ground. She used her hand. She tore my pants like this. She was not checking if I went to do something. I was a child though. Oh, my mother is a drop. My mother is she's just a clown sometimes. As she tore it, of course I didn't do anything because I went on a walk and I came back. But as she tore it and she started shouting, "Hey!" She started shouting, "Hey! Hey!" Even me, I was not confused. Ha! Did she see something? And everything. But you know that that thing I did as a child, I remember growing up and while I was in secondary school, while I was in the university, whenever I have quarrels with my
friends,
my siblings,
okay,
then I now had a friend that was living somewhere else. I would pack my things and I would go.
Yeah.
And I would stay for some days or like 1 week, 2 weeks, I would come back home.
Yeah.
So when I got married too, when I had like issues and we quarrel and everything, I would be feeling like I need to take a walk because
I'm happy that
happy
that you're bringing this balance now.
I'll be feeling that I need to take a walk.
Because in one of our videos, like some people
yes. And it will not matter the time. So even if it's late in the night, I just feel I need to take a walk to clear my head. Like since I don't have somebody to talk to, because there's sometimes when I'm in those kind of issues, I feel like I start checking my phone. Okay, is there somebody that I can vent to calm down? And when I check and I don't have anybody to talk to, and it's two of us that are having the issue, then I feel, okay, since I don't have anybody to talk
it's time to take a
then
walk.
I need to take a walk. So if I don't take that walk, it doesn't matter the time, morning, afternoon, evening, I'll start taking a walk. Although now, I can't even remember, like in years, I haven't taken.
We have grown in the understanding of ourselves, of God, of love, of a lot of things.
So I haven't taken like a walk in like a very long time, even though it's good for our bodies for exercise. But I haven't done that. But I remember that there was a comment that somebody put in the chat when we posted that video about dealing with some things before you come into marriage. And I didn't respond to it, but I thought about it. I'm like, yes. Maybe if it had been, although my mom tried to deal with it by that her flogging and tearing the pant and screaming, but it didn't really go to the root of the issue. Because I remember then, like when things happen to me, I'll write it down and I'll be crying, and then I'll think I should take a walk. So it didn't really deal with the foundation of the issue and everything. But I'm saying that for children, when you see them exhibit some things that you're like, no, I don't want this child to grow up with this thing and now take it into adulthood. What do you do as a parent that would actually address the issue? Because for me, there was the flogging, there was the screaming, there was the shouting and everything. Yet, like,
for me, Sha, what I try to do most times is I try to show them the impact of that behavior.
Okay.
There can be videos on YouTube, the impact of not wearing your seatbelt when your dad says wear your seatbelt and all that. I'll be like, okay, let me show you a video of when a child flew out of a window in a car that was moving, and a trailer now escaped the child. So when a child, it might look like a hard thing, but when that child now sees that stuff, before you even say belt, you just say seat, they can already picture.
Even with playing with fire.
Yes, they can already picture it, and they can understand that thing that they are trying to do is very dangerous, and they should not do it. They should not do it. So that's also one of the ways. Just let them just flip it. It hasn't necessarily happened to them yet, but you can show them when you are playing with fire, when you damage items, when you do a lot of those things. Like if you now have to use from your savings box to start paying for things in the house. And it's also good to have kids on like a salaried kind of system, just like a payback system, so that they can understand also the value of money. If they want to spend, they have like a budget. They can either say, okay, I want to save, I want to spend, I want to do this, I want to do that, and it just gives them that ability to be able to take responsibility at a very, young age.
Yeah, so I pray for children.
Amen.
I pray that God would go to our children. God will heal our children.
Amen.
God will give our children wisdom and preserve them from the things that they will be facing in their own generation. And I pray that they would not be part of evil gangs. They will not be part of evil of vices.
Amen.
And we also pray for interceptions, that wherever the devil is working things against them, that the Lord will, in his mercy, intercept it, so that the lives of our children will not go in a totally different direction.
Amen.
And I pray for the blessing upon our children, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, that these children will indeed be the head and not the tail, and that they will bring honor and glory to the kingdom of God. And I finally pray that they would know God early, and that they would display the kingdom of God even upon the earth, bringing souls to Christ Jesus. In Jesus' name we've prayed. Amen.
Happy Children's Day. Right? Children's Day is around the corner, isn't it?
Oh my God, are you serious?
When is Children's Day?
29th.
Is it
27th?
27th, right?
Oh my God, we are in the spirit. I'm telling you, like, we did not even, I did not even plan it. It was just like a random thought that crossed my mind.
It's a Children's Day special.
Wow, this is nice. Happy Children's Day. Bye. Love you.